Ya. Oke. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Happy Independence Day. Yeah, rather late, but
Terima kasih, Pak.
it is important. Okay, but it's important for you. Today we will continue. Hello. Hello. Our topic today is about the President Soekarno foreign policy, and there is a trouble. Okay. President Soekarno policy. Yes. There's a little problem. Okay. But before we enter our discussion on specific what is Indonesian foreign policy under President Soekarno, it is important for us to know about the position of President Soekarno in domestic politics, because some scholar misperception on President Soekarno position. Many people imagine that President Soekarno from the beginning until the end was a powerful president. But really it is not true. Because President Soekarno, just 3 months after proclamation of independence, he lost his political power in terms of executive power in Indonesia. So to know what is the detailed position, so we can imagine why someone do like this, because in our framework last day, I explained about the condition domestically and internationally. How to form, how to formulate international or foreign policy, a leader or a president influenced by both domestic and international situation. So I want to describe the political position of President Soekarno. And as a background, I will start from the beginning. When President Soekarno come up as a political leader in Indonesia in young age. Can we imagine that the young boy, 26 years old, President Soekarno was born in 1901, and he established the first national political party in Indonesia on July 1927, when Soekarno in young age. So Indonesian independence at that day really crafted by young person. The senior just Haji Agus Salim, the senior diplomat at that time. Hatta really just 2 years, 3 years older than Soekarno. So, and Sahrir, after Soekarno proclamation, Sahrir as prime minister in 32 years old. So, when Soekarno make a proclamation, Indonesia proclamation, Soekarno in 44 years old. Okay. Now we imagine that the Zhang Soekarno, in 26 years old, he established Indonesian National Party or Partai Nasional Indonesia. Partai Nasional Indonesia. In his vision, this party composed an ideals how to get Indonesia independent. Absolutely. The Dutch government, colonial at the time, arrested Soekarno, the Zhang Soekarno, and jail in Bandung. Yeah. And since that time, Soekarno has led the struggle for independence, along with the other friends. So the emerge of Soekarno really almost 20 years old, 20 years before independence. So it is very long way before independence. Of course, if we understand about this, so we can see that what happened in 17 August 1945, why Soekarno directed by his friends by mufakat or acclamation as a reader, I say the reader of proclamation text, because the role of Soekarno proven and real real activist before independence. The main idea of Soekarno, we can read in many speech before independence. One again, Soekarno had many speech in front of the judge in Bandung, for example, in front of the committee for preparation for Indonesian independence, and also many organizations. He made many speech at that time. So we can see what is the main idea of Soekarno. In one debate in June 1945, the main idea of Soekarno as a political activist, clearly we can read it. The main idea that was brought up was a strong government with a single party. We know that Soekarno never go abroad before independence. Soekarno studied in Bandung, in Stovia. It is very different from Hatta and Syahrir, Sultan Syahrir, the other activists, because Hatta and friends, many friends, graduated from Dutch or Netherlands at that time. So Hatta and friend experience about liberal democracy in Europe, but Soekarno never seen this fact. It influenced the framework of the main idea of Soekarno. So Soekarno see that the most effective government is the powerful government, like king or like government system in Japan at that time. Yeah, please imagine that Japan at that time is very strong. So Japan has brave to fight to United States and ally. Soekarno imagined that Indonesia will be effective government if we compose a strong government in a single party. In a single party. And the territory, be careful about this, Soekarno had imagination on Indonesian territory very different from Hatta. Hatta and Sahrir as the person who graduated from Europe, they understand more about international law and democratic framework. But Soekarno more inspired by Indonesian ancient history. His friend Muhammad Jamin, an historian, make a long speech in front of the Committee for Indonesian Independence on June 1945, as I mentioned. So this is the same time with Soekarno ideas or imagination on what is the Indonesian independence next. Based on the speech from Muhammad Jamin, Soekarno imagined that the Indonesian territory more than ex-colonial from the Dutch, but all of the territory under Majapahit Empire. Majapahit is the ancient kingdom in East Java that occupy all of the Nusantara, So all of the Kalimantan, the southern Vietnam, until the northern Australia. So it is very wide territory. Soekarno imagined this. And so the territory of the Republic of Indonesia under Soekarno imagination cover Java, Sumatra, Kalimantan, all Kalimantan I mean, and Java, Bali, Nusa Tenggara, and West Papua. This is based on the Muhammad Jamin speech as a historian. Soekarno also rejecting the multi-party system. So there are two factions in debate on June 1945. Soekarno and Professor Mr. Sartono, one faction that reject multi-party system and will compose a presidential system with powerful executive government. In the other side, there is Hatta and Sultan Sahrir faction. Now, we can see this. Mr. Sartono and Soekarno never go abroad before, but Hatta and Sultan Sahrir educated in other country, in the Dutch. So both factions have their political background or experience in different situation, as I mentioned before. Sultan Sahrir and Hatta pro or suggest to compose a multi-party system under social democrat mainstream or framework. And Hatta and Sahrir prefer to compose parliamentary system, not presidential system. So, when President Soekarno as a president after 17 August 1945, the government formed by Soekarno in the first cabinet under a presidential system, and because of the situation, this cabinet cannot work efficiently or effectively. But only 3 months after independence, it was in November 1945, the vice president, there was the vice president declaration. Why vice president? Why not the president declaration or decree? To form political parties and change them to a parliamentary system. Now you can understand why the declaration to form a multi-party system and parliamentary system in Indonesia declared by Vice President. Why? Because President Soekarno absolutely reject this concept. So, please President Soekarno to sign this document. Oh no, I never agree about this concept. If Hatta want to sign, please. So this story meet the fact about this. So Hatta signed as a vice president at the time to form and to change our governmental system. Yeah, this change in domestic affair really influenced by international pressure. What happened after Indonesian independence? In our first constitution, the power of executive government is very, very powerful. And at that time, yeah, absolutely. There is no general election because after independence, and Indonesia carried out the general election the first general election in 1955. The international pressure after Indonesian independence is very strong because Dutch in international propaganda facing that Sukarno's government was considered totalitarian and tended to be a fascist government. Why? Because there is no political party, because there is no general election. All of the cabinet just what Sukarno say or want, and all come from the Sukarno friend, and so on. So the Republic of Indonesia is a very, very weak diplomacy if we use our first form of the government. And at that time, our new republic need recognition from international arena or other countries. So it is important for us how to change our government to erase the image that our new government is not a fascist. Our new government is a democratic government. Our government is not totalitarian. That is why the second faction, if you remember the second faction, the opposite faction of Soekarno, that is Hatta and Sultan Syahrir, get the moment to change to change the government to form a new parliamentary system. So that is why at that time, although Soekarno disagree about this, our government changed to the parliamentary system. And then after 3 November 1945, the decree to form political parties, this is the first cabinet and parliamentary system under Sultan Syahrir as a prime minister formed in November 14. The formation of the cabinet by Prime Minister Sultan Syahrir. So since this date, formally Indonesia operate parliamentary system. So just 3-month presidential system after the independent proclamation, Indonesian changed to parliamentary system to respond international tension or pressure. Because we need to make more effective diplomacy to get recognition from other country. So practically, Soekarno as a president was the head of the state, Hatta as the vice president. But the head of the government or executive was Prime Minister Sultan Syahrir at that time. Soekarno, since this date, lost his political power in terms of real politic or executive power, and was only as a symbolic leader of national unity. Yeah, we can imagine Soekarno as activist, independent activist, almost 20 years before independent was too long history. So the Javanese people as a central or epicentrum of the struggle for Indonesian independence only remember Soekarno, because Soekarno is where he had magic speech. So Soekarno is very influential because he had the power of the speech or words. So very magician, like magician. Soekarno is very popular in Javanese people at that time. But what happened under this parliamentary system? As Soekarno predicted before, that it will produce the fragile government. I show you, this is the list. Oh, September the 2nd, this is the date. Presidential system by Soekarno. And the first Prime Minister, Syahrir the first, because Syahrir 3 times as Prime Minister, there is reshuffle cabinet. Syahrir 1, Syahrir the 2nd, Syahrir the 3rd. After November until November 1945 until October 1946, there are 3 cabinets. After that, in 1 year, there are 2 cabinets under Amir Sharifuddin, the first and the second. After that, in January 1948, Hatta in the first administration. After that, there is a darurat. What is darurat? Emergency government. What happened really? Indonesia at that time, there is aggression from the Dutch and ally to Yogyakarta. And at that time, president, vice president, and several leaders arrested by the Dutch. And to continue our government, President Soekarno make an order to Syafruddin Prawiranegara to compose our emergency government in Bukit Tinggi, Sumatra. So the president, emergency president at the time, is Syafruddin Prawiranegara in Sumatra in December 1948 until August 1949. So, and when I go to Bukit Tinggi, really Bukit Tinggi just the first place. After that, month by month they move another region from Bukit Tinggi until Banda Aceh to move until Banda Aceh. So this strategy to make difficulty for Dutch to catch the president. And before August 1949, Safruddin Praviranegara not in Bukit Tinggi but in Banda Aceh. So we can see the not the palace but the house today as a historical monument. So the fragile government under parliamentary system still happen, although after general election, because there is no majority party, and what several theories in democratic theory said that Indonesia still in the condition of infantile democracy. Infantile democracy mean what in Malay? Demokrasi kekanak-kanaan, infantile, not mature. Kekanak-kanaan, demokrasi kekanak-kanaan, like a child, the childish democracy. This infantile democracy, not mature in democracy. After what I say last day about the roundtable conference in Indonesian de jure recognition from the Dutch government, Indonesia changed the government from unitary state to be a federal state in December 1949. After this agreement, our government continued in unstable government. Why? Because of the domestic politics. There is a conflictual among the political leader. So you can see the list. After race mean United States of Indonesia or Republic Indonesia Serikat. There is a prime minister name. It is not popular in Indonesia, but it is historically mentioned. Prime Minister Susanto, Prime Minister on December 1949. After that, Dr. Halim as a Prime Minister in January 50. After that, Muhammad Natsir before election. In 1950, Sukiman Suweryo, this Sukiman, it's very popular. Wilopo, Ali Sastranamijoyo, Burhanuddin Harahap, Ali Sastranamijoyo again, and Juanda. After Juanda, there is the president decree from President Soekarno. So President Soekarno see this, that parliamentary system and multi-party system is not proven not effective in the young state like Indonesia at that time. So what happened next after this fact? The situation worse. So tambah parah, you know, because the situation after Hatta resigned as a vice president on November 1956. Yeah, the national dialogue among the political party, political leader at that time hesitate, and many political leader cannot imagine if the Hatta resigned from his position. But it is real. There was a new government as the result of the general election in 1955. Hatta choose time, maybe it is the best time according to Muhammad Hatta to resign, because November 1956 is after general election. So a new government formed, after form new government under Ali Satora Mijoyo, Hatta suggests to sign. And also at the time after Asia Africa Conference. So in Hatta imagination, okay, this is the good time for me, because the system is parliamentary system. That is why we do need vice president, because executive power held by a prime minister and the head of the nation held by the president. So what is the function of vice president? This is the formal reason from Muhammad Hatta. But we believe, as I mentioned before, that there is the other reason. Due to domestic political conflict between the parties, so that the prime minister often fell, Sukarno played the foreign political card at the time. So after the resignation of Hatta, Sukarno see that it is time for Sukarno to play the external card. The most important and inspiring moment for President Sukarno is Asia Africa Conference in 1955. Sukarno imagined that he can play more role in international arena, because in domestic politics, Sukarno just have a small power. Why? Just a symbolic power, because executive power held by the prime minister. So like jobless president, just what I want to do. Just Professor Mohtar Masud yesterday we make a discussion in our National Assembly, Majelis Permusyawaratan Rakyat, in the parliament yesterday. Professor Mohtar Masud stated that Sukarno, after or under parliamentary system, since 3 months after independent, just make a speech every day, but do nothing. Why, Prof? Yeah, because executive power not under control by president. The executive power or day-to-day governmental affair controlled by the prime minister. So Sukarno just compose speech every day. So if we listen to the President Sukarno speech, is very nice, because yeah, that is his work every day. Yeah, just to make a picture that at that time, really, President Sukarno domestically just less power, or just small power. But what is the strategic position at that time? Although President Sukarno didn't have political power, President Sukarno, as because of his speech, Sukarno gave motivation and spirit for the young people in Indonesia to fight and to struggle for independence, because there are many war created by Dutch. In Java, there are 2 wars after colonial, after 45, aggression 1 and aggression 2, and surrounding the Indonesian territory also, there are many invasion from the Dutch army. So it is very important to, yeah, to boost the spirit for the young people. Okay, under this situation, unstable government under parliamentary system, under multi-party system, and under loss of power domestically, Soekarno tried call it as decree president, president decree to dissolve the parliament, because almost every year from 1945 until 1959, the parliamentary cabinet and prime minister changed or were overthrown by the parliament due to the political conflict. So yeah, every year we change our cabinet. So we can imagine every year we have a new cabinet, new prime minister. What happened about the development? Oh, there is almost no development, because how to plan, how to compose national budget, there is no good plan at that time. Almost 15 years Indonesia still conflict internally after Independence Day. So Soekarno see this, that it is not good for our future. That is why President Soekarno make a decree to dissolve parliament and also political party. So back to Soekarno concept in the beginning of the Independence Day. Soekarno want to create the strong, powerful government, and Soekarno imagine to compose a unitary political party. So only one party in Indonesia. Soekarno imagine this. So this party in Soekarno imagination, this party like umbrella. All of ideology can join together to develop Indonesian independence. Soekarno held full power after President decree. So yeah, both political power, executive power, and also head of state. So it is different from a parliamentary system that the head of the state is the maybe the king, or maybe Yang Dipertuan, and the head of the executive power under prime minister. At that time, and Indonesia today also, this is our legacy, that political power, head of state and head of executive government unite together under president. So since this moment, President Soekarno control Indonesian political affair almost 100%. Because where is the political leader from other political party? Maybe your party dissolved. Maybe your party is not recognized by the President Soekarno, or by the president, or by the government, and the other opponent, not loyalists, although they are friends before to struggle Indonesian independence at that time, like Safruddin Prawira Negara. Safruddin Prawira Negara was our emergency president, like I mentioned before. And Muhammad Yamin. Muhammad Yamin is the concept to unitary state, as I mentioned before. And you know, Hamka, very popular ulama, not only in Indonesia but also in Aceh and Malaysia, Hamka, all of these leader, ulama, arrested by President Soekarno because criticized in the media. So Muhammad Yamin jail 4 years, and Hamka, Muhammad Yamin, Safruddin Prawira Negara, yeah, under arrest for a long time. No judiciary process, no, but yeah, you just stay in jail without without the process. So at the time, Sukarno power is very powerful, and almost no constitution banned the power. Yeah, because what Sukarno mentioned, Indonesia under new system. What kind of the system? Sukarno said, guided democracy, and all of the political process under revolutionary spirit. So it is very revolutionary under Sukarno perception. But in other country, Sukarno seen as totalitarian. Sukarno seen as rather fascist president. But for President Sukarno, it is like antithesa from the parliamentary system before. Under parliamentary system, our government very fragile. After President Decree 1959, President composed a very strong and uncontrollable government. All of political party, yeah, except PNI, Partai Nasional Indonesia, Indonesian National Party, and Communist Party, dismissed. Why? Yeah, because Communist Party and PNI support President Soekarno. In real politics, really, PKI and PNI is not the same vision. There is a political conflict because the different political party, but under Soekarno, they unite together. And at that time, Bung Karno or Soekarno also want to include in this umbrella power from Islamic power. But there is no Islamic party want to join Bung Karno. Why? Because Bung Karno is not consistent. In the perception of Islamic political party at the time, Bung Karno, why still together with Communist Party? And because Communist Party make a bloody revolution in 1948, yeah, Sukarno like forget about this history. So Indonesian political party at the time reject to join the Sukarno concept of a guided democracy. That is why Sukarno take Islamic organization to join this giant coalition, National, Communist, and Islam. But Islam at the time, not from political party, but from organization. Nah, Nahdlatul Ulama joined together. PNI, PKI, and Nahdlatul Ulama joined together under NASACOM, or the concept of national, ugama, and communist. That is why NASACOM consists of 2 political parties and 1 mass organization. So this is the start of, or the beginning of, the guided democracy under President Soekarno until 1965. Okay, this is the the background to understand the political position of President Soekarno. Without we understand about this background, it is impossible to understand why President Soekarno formulate his international foreign policy like he won. So what is the most inspiring moment for President Soekarno after what after Asia African Conference? Okay, we back to this slide. For President Soekarno, Asia Africa is very important, very inspiring conference. Can you imagine now that in 1955, President Soekarno really just as the head of the nation, but not executive power. And nationally, there is national conflict among the political parties. So Soekarno see that, yeah, political party, you conflict internally. It is impossible for you to play this card. It is impossible for you to dialogue to other country, to play our diplomacy under the tension, international tension, under two blocks, Western Bloc and Eastern Bloc. Soekarno pessimistic on national leader, especially from the political party, to play the role internationally. So after Asia Africa, Soekarno imagine that this is the opportunity for Indonesia, especially for President Soekarno, to play international politics. Why? Because internally, domestically, Soekarno really just less power. And for the first step and understanding, President Soekarno really like under a post-colonial perspective in international relation theory. If you see President Soekarno, if at a glance, Soekarno play a post-colonial perspective. But if you see the history from June 1945, really Bung Karno or Soekarno not only play in the post-colonial perspective, but he also play in realism perspective. How to get national power, how to enlarge their territory. Yeah, President Soekarno really can receive the concept of North Kalimantan as independent at the time. After it is impossible to join Indonesia, President Soekarno imagined that North Kalimantan support to create independent state. But yeah, that's President Soekarno, the very different player in Indonesia. Okay, but before we enter this discussion, I will introduce you what is the principle of Asia-Africa Conference at that time that inspired President Soekarno to play this role. Yeah, the conference held in Bandung on April 1955, and it is under Cold War between United States and Ally and Soviet Union. Participated by 29 states from Soekarno, Nasser, Nkrumah from Africa, and from India. So there are many top leaders at that time joined together, and they agreed for many principles. The first, respect for fundamental human rights and for the purpose of principle of the Charter of the United Nations. The Charter of United Nations. So it is under international law. Respect for the sovereignty and territory integrity, all countries, territorial integrity. It is also under international law. Recognize the equality of all races and equality of all nations. No intervention in the internal affair of other countries. Respect for the right of each nation to defend itself singly or collectively, or in conformity with the Charter of the United Nations. United Nations. But next you will see that Soekarno out from the United Nations. Yeah, that is Soekarno. Number 6, point A, abstention from the use of arrangement of collective defense to serve any particular interests of the big powers. Abstention by any countries from exerting pressure on the other countries. So, and then refraining from act or threat of aggression or the use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any countries. But what happened in North Kalimantan? Soekarno tried to enter your border. Number 8, settlement of all international dispute by peaceful means. By peaceful means, such as negotiation, conciliation, arbitration, or judicial settlement, as well as the other peaceful means of the parties on choice, and conformity with the Charter of the United States. Conformity with the Charter of the United Nations. Promotion for mutual interest and cooperation, respect for justice and international obligation. So, this is the spirit of Bandung, or Bandung spirit. It's very inspiring for Soekarno. Yes, I can play this. So, at a glance, for the first step, what Soekarno work in international policy, like refer to a post-colonial perspective. But next, we will see where Soekarno go beyond the post-colonial perspective. Okay, but the time is up.